3. And welcome to vlog 3. I'm Jason. How's everyone doing today? My chair stuck. Okay. So again, this is just me and what I do in a normal day. I normally do scale modeling. I'm going to be on this channel, and then I'll have a channel just for my vlogs in the future. But recently, a new game. I'm a huge gamer. Zombicide is one of my favorite games, and Invaders just came out. I was able to get a Kickstarter copy, and it's on its way. I have a playthrough that's going to be going up, and it'll be up before this video actually goes up. If you want the link, message me. I'm just sending links to people. I'm not publishing them on the channel yet. I haven't decided if I will. But I recorded this in vlog 2, and I didn't like the way it turned out, so I just made vlog 2 about Invaders, where I unboxed it and I did a sample game through. That went pretty well. I used some of the Kickstarter stuff and some of the extra bonus stuff. It was Darkside. It wasn't Invaders, the base game. It was the second base game, Darkside. But now I want to talk to you about something that I'm going to plan on doing with Invaders and Darkside and all the Kickstarter stuff, because I did the same thing with the Zombicide Black Plague Green Horde series of games. Now, I got the Black Plague Kickstarter, and then a year or two later I got the Green Horde Kickstarter with all the content. And there's a lot of content. I mean, if you look at enemies alone, not to mention the 3 expansions, Friends and Foes, No Rest for the Wicked, and Wolfsburg. So, 3 expansions, tons of enemies. You got from both games, you got walkers, runners, fatties. So there's 6 there. You have tainted walkers for Green Horde. You have spectral walkers for either. You have rats. You have bats. You have tons of abominations. Just endless supply of abominations. The Obama Bunny, nasty thing. You have Deadeye Archers. You have 2 different boxes of NPC characters. I just think that covers up all the different enemies you can have. So, with the wolves, I might have said wolves. So, if you tried to take all those cards, shuffle them in a deck, and especially if they're sleeve cards, it's going to be, the deck's going to stack that tall sideways. You're not going to put it in a card holder. I use broken token card holders, and with my rules and my adaptation, the cards stack all the way to the top, and sometimes a little bit over. So, combining everything into one game, like they say you can do in the book, you can combine it, or you can combine bits and pieces and things like that. And I've come up with a random generator that works for both the missions. It works for almost all the missions. You can adapt some or all of these guidelines, rules, whatever you want to call them, to the missions. Me and my son, this weekend was his birthday. We played a couple of games of this Green Plague. Green Plague is what I call it. Green Horde, Black Plague, Green Plague. So we done a couple adaptations. I play tested tons and tons and tons of games with this. Not only with the missions in the book. I've played through every mission in the book with these rules, aside from the tutorial missions, because it's just not possible with the way the tutorials are set up. So you can't do the tutorial missions, but most of the other missions you can do. And then after you do that, you might get a little bored, got tired of picking characters, or you don't know what characters to pick, because there's a massive load of characters. The stack of characters is like that. There's probably 50. Easily 50 characters with the Kickstarter and all the characters released between Black Plague, all the boxes, all the special guest boxes, and then the Kickstarter for Green Horde and all those spoof characters, and then there was some special artist guest boxes for those too. So the amount of characters is insane. So there's a random way of that. I'm going to tell you that I haven't put this in here. I haven't put that in here for some odd reason. But that was a rule we played with. So now when we come in here and we open up to a quest, we randomize the whole thing. And I'm just going to walk you through how we're going to randomize a thing, and then I'm going to talk about the Green Plague rules. Now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 books here, and then you have 5 with Wolfenburg. And then there's also some quests you can get online. So I don't have those with me. So we have a set of 8 quests that someone designed as a campaign or random quest online, and then we have the random generator, and then we have, we have the 5 books with missions: Wolfenburg, Friends and Foe, No Rest for the Wicked, Black Plague, and Green Horde mission books, and then we have the random quest generator. So we'll chuck a 6-sided die, and whatever comes up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Wolfenburg 5, and random generator 6. So we roll 6, we'll do the random generator rules. A 1 will flip through here. Now there's 10 missions in this book. We'll roll a 10-sided die. Whatever comes up, that's the mission we'll do. Again, there's 11 missions. The tutorial's labeled mission 0, so that works out for you there. So you have the 10 quests. So we'll roll a 10-sided die, and however many missions are in we'll roll that sided die. Sometimes you don't have the die you need a weird one. So there's an app you can get on iOS here. Should be, it's a D20 Lion's Den D20 calculator, and you can roll all your standard. It's not gonna show too well, but you can do a D5, and you randomly rolls a 3. So I use that because it gets a little, depending on how much content you have and what you want to use, the numbers can get a little odd of what kind of dice you need to roll. So not all the times there's a standard number that make a die for what you need. So a little app like that actually makes it quicker than rolling the dice out. You can just get a sheet, which I plan on publishing this and then making sheets to where you can roll everything off and then just write it down and go through and set it up after that. So there's picking a mission. Now, when it comes to heroes, a lot of people have come up with combinations of survivors that break the game just by the comedy. Wonder Woman comes to mind. Merlin, there's some powerful magic users that you get lava blast in their hand and it's just over. Or you get a chaos longbow and somebody that gets 1+ die to ranged attacks, and then an extra range attack, and then mana rain, and then it's just over. You're just doing dragon fire all day long. So you can fish those cards out of the equipment deck pretty easy. So you can get in a rut where you're picking the same characters, and then the game's just not fun anymore. There's no challenge to it. So basically, we've played to where we know our mission: dig for these cards, put these cards on these characters, and then win the game. And yeah, it's fun to win, but playing by myself and solo, I like to challenge myself, and it's just not fun just to walk through and do the motions and win the game. So that's what this is for. This is to randomize everything. So for character creation, I shuffle the giant stack of character cards, blindly deal out 6. That's my 6 survivors. Don't care. Now, starting equipment, I have a rule in here about starting equipment. If you randomly deal out 6 pieces of starting equipment without looking, shuffle the starting deck. There's a bunch of cards in there. You combine all the starting cards from all the games. There's going to be like 15, 20 cards in there. Shuffle them up and deal out 6 random cards. And that's your starting equipment. You equip them however you want. Or you can deal them out to a person, and that person is stuck with that starting equipment unless you trade when the game starts. So you can do it in turn order either way. I think in turn order makes it a little harder. Dealing out 6 random equipment cards can be brutal if you have people that just need certain equipment, or you don't get any bows, or you get all swords, or you get all ranged weapons, you get all magic. It can be challenging. So to combat that, I've come up with, in the first round, survivors can search the streets and pick up a random starting equipment card. They can search one time. You only get one search action. You can't search a room afterwards. But in turn one, before you do all the zombie spawns, you can use one action to search the streets for a random starting equipment card. So that is to note not if there's a zombie in your space, but there shouldn't be a zombie in your space if you are in the streets on your first turn. But after turn one, that goes away. So that's just a quick rule. I have the part in here about searching the streets for a starting equipment, but I didn't put it only in round one because I did it to where it was in multiple rounds and it started to feel broken again. So if you randomly, I only add that rule if you randomly deal out your starting equipment and randomize your characters. You don't get to pick who you want to be. I mean, the players, after you deal out 6, the players that are playing with you can pick which one from the 6, but that's the characters you get. The 6 starting equipment that are deal out, that's the 6 starting equipment you get. Divvy up how you want, or have people draw starting equipment in turn order once you're all set up. It makes the game a little bit harder, but to compensate with that, you got that one search action in the street to pull another starting equipment. That can go well for you, or it can go real bad, and you end up with 2 bows you got to trade, or you don't do melee and you got 2 swords and you got to trade. So you're almost, a lot of times you could burn your whole first turn, either go into a room searching for equipment and pulling a zombie, or searching for starting equipment in the street and getting something that you don't need. So it can go both ways, or you can search in the street, get that sword in your melee guy, and you got two swords now, and you're set up for a little bit, or none of your starting equipment has a 2 damage weapon, so concentrated attack or anything. So if you have all 1 damage weapons, then or nothing that can open a door, you got to search the street to get that starting equipment. Because I've played a game to where I didn't get anything to open up a door. So yeah, I didn't get telekinetic blast. I didn't get hammer or any of the door, an axe, any of the door opening stuff. I didn't get. So I believe a short sword can open a door, but we didn't get very many of them. We got like 3 bows. We got 2 short bows, the spike bow, 2 mana blast, and maybe I think we got a sword, which I think maybe can open a door on a 5. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a horrible randomization, and I got all melee guys and 1 bow guy, and basically we were hurting. So, and even when we searched in the street for stuff, we got the rest of the spells, to be honest with you, and it didn't go well. But we ended up pulling it out in the end. We did some searching in the rooms, and you'll see the effects of that comes into play. So that's that randomization part of picking missions, randomizing your starting people, randomizing your starting equipment, and adding that rule in to where you can search the streets your first turn for starting equipment to compensate for all that randomization. So there you go. You can play the game just like that. You do all that, but then you got zombies and equipment decks to attend to. You have both equipment decks from Black Plague and Green Horde, and then you have all the expansion cards, which almost makes up a deck itself. And then you have all the Black Plague zombies, all the Green Horde zombies. Even shuffling both those together makes an insanely thick deck with sleeves. And then you start to try to add in NPCs, tainted walkers, Deadeye archers, all these extra monsters or zombies, and then you start adding abominations, 6 cards each, necromancers, 6 cards each, and you're insane amount of decks. You're never going to cycle through it. You're not going to see a lot of doubles of things. You're not going to see a lot of extra activations. You're not going to see an extra spawn, so it gets a little easier. Even if you put abominations in, you're not going to see a lot of them. So I've come up with a way to kind of thin down the equipment decks and thin down the zombie decks where you spawn specifically depending on what room you're in. And now I'm going to talk about the setting up the zombie deck and the equipment deck for Green Plague. But I want to talk about a setup thing that happens on the board first. I recommend some green and red tokens for this game. It helps with paying attention to things. And when you set up the board and you put all your doors up, and as you know, when you open a door, you spawn the room. Well, my solution to this, and it's not the be-all, end-all solution, but it works, and I've tested it, and it works very well, is you have a Black Plague zombie deck, you have a Green Horde zombie deck, you have a Black Plague equipment deck, and you have a Green Horde equipment deck. You have these 4 decks, and you place tokens randomly in each room, either red or green. If you are in a room with a green token, it spawns from the Green Horde deck, and you draw a Green Horde equipment card. If you are in a room with a red token, if there's a red token in the room, it spawns from the Black Plague deck, and you draw a Black Plague equipment card. The expansion equipment cards are shuffled and shuffled into the 2 equipment decks evenly, so you don't know what's in what equipment deck. So that makes it even more random because you don't know what deck to fish through. But you know, if you go through the zombie Black Plague deck and you've already pulled out 2 Dragon Bile and 2 Torches, well, you know there's more in the Green Horde deck than the Black Plague, so you need to get to a green room and try to get some more if you need more, because with these rules and this stuff, you know, I throw in 4 or 5 abominations, 4 or 5 different A-bombs, not including the Orc Abomination and the regular Abomination that goes with Black Plague. I mean, I'm talking like, you know, the Horde Brother or the Kafefi or Swamp Lurker or Swamp Troll, the Were Zombie, the Wolf from Wolfenburg. There's just the Obama Bunny. Don't play with the Obama Bunny. That thing's nasty. If you play with the Obama Bunny, you need a lot of Dragonfire. Also play with all the vault cards, and there's NPCs get you the vault cards. Any 4 NPCs of different sculpts that your guy kills can be traded for a random vault card. That is a fantastic way to, because a lot of the vault cards stink, and you only get 2 in the game, so they do that. So when you set up your board, you count the number of rooms, and you get that many, half as many rounded up in green tokens, and the rest in red tokens. You put them in a bag, and then you deal them out to each room, or you put them all in a bag, and when you go to spawn that room or search that room, you pull out a token, and whatever token you pull out, you draw from that deck. You can do that. You can do it either way. Either way works. I've done it both ways. I like to put the token on the board so I'm drawing consistently for that room. So if a Necro spawns in that room, I know that if there's a green token there, that Necro spawn's always going to be from the Green Horde deck. And if he makes it out, that spawn zone is going to always be a Green Horde spawn zone. So same difference with the spawn zones. You have green spawn zones and red spawn zones, and you divvy it up evenly as possible. But you can, if there's 4 spawn zones, I take 2 green and 2 red, shuffle them up, place them all down on the red side, and then I flip them over, and then however many green I get 2 green, 2 red. Depending on how it works out, that's how that works. And if a Necro spawns in one of those spawn zones and it turns permanent, you always spawn it with the color of the spawn zone. I hope I'm not losing anybody with the green and red thing. Green is always Green Horde, red is always Black Plague. So let's talk about setting up your zombie decks. I'm not going to go through each individual rule. I did that in another video, and it rambled on. I know I'm rambling on with this, but this works with all expansions, all guys. There's ways to level up the difficulty. Like if you guys are just having way too easy of time, you can do it to where when you draw an extra activation card of an enemy type, say it says extra activation, just zombie walkers, you can make it activate anybody with the keyword walker. So spectral walkers, tainted walkers, orc walkers, zombie walkers, fatties, same thing. You got your orc fatties, you got things, but you also have fatty bursters, which are nasty. So, which I put in my deck to make it harder. It's also fun when you kill them. If you're playing missions that don't use the trebuchet or the ballista, you can randomly add those in. However you want. Normally, I place them in a zone. If it's the ballista, I place it in the same zone as the survivor. If it's the trebuchet, I place it in the zone farthest away, or the tile farthest away from the survivors, not in a room in the closest to the middle of the tile, not in water either. You can play with both of them in any of the missions. If you're randomizing everything and you're upping the difficulty with A-bombs and stuff, you're going to need a ballista or a trebuchet. Plus, with all this, you're going to have the Horde, so the trebuchet is great for clearing out the Horde. You don't need to add those two things. You don't need to do it. It makes the game harder. I've done it both ways. I've done it with adding a ballista and a trebuchet, and I've gotten my butt beat. I've done it to where I haven't added those, and I've won. So it's up to you how you want to do it. If you have new players, throw a ballista and a trebuchet on the board in one of the Black Plague missions, or a mission that doesn't use it, and give you a little bit of extra firepower. Especially if you're playing Black Plague missions and you have the Horde, and you're using activations that activate everything. It can get pretty intense pretty quick. And I've had matches where I had 5 abominations on the board, including the Obama Bunny, and no Dragon Fire. We were in yellow. We had hardly any weapons, and if we didn't have the ballista, it would have been pointless. We would have lost for sure. But we were able to pull through until the Obama Bunny ate us all. So sometimes you lose. Most of the time with the Obama Bunny, but I love that. I love that A-bomb. So cute and deadly. Another thing is whenever you draw a Necromancer, no matter what deck it is from, you always add 1 Orc Runner, 1 Orc Walker, and 1 Orc Fatty to the Horde, no matter what. Anytime a Necro, I play with the standard, each Necro that comes with Black Plague, I leave play in the Black Plague deck, and then I play with the Orc Necro in the Green Horde deck, and then I also add Necros. Like I like the Rat King, but there's tons of Necros you can add. I normally add 1 in each, sometimes 2 in each, depending on other stuff. You can't add too much stuff because the decks get big really, really quick. So, but no matter what deck a Necromancer comes from, you're adding the 1 of each to the Horde. Which the Horde can fill up, but that's what the trebuchet is for if you use it. If not, just prepare to fight. I hope you get good guys. And like I said, these are guidelines. You use what you want. Don't use what you want. I'm gonna put these in a Dropbox and put the link in the comments down after this video goes up, because it's just going to select people. But when it goes public, I'll make sure there's a link to it. Okay, so zombie deck setup. With this playstyle, you use both zombie spawn decks from both base games, along with any expansion you wish to use. This includes any of the Kickstarter stuff. So like the extra abominations and things like that, and Necros. Excuse me. Each spawn deck will be used separately, and you just add the extra content you want to play with, divided evenly among both decks. Try to keep similar cards together, as in Wolfenburg cards should go in the Black Plague spawn deck, and the Tainted Walkers in the Green Horde spawn deck. Now, I've actually put the Tainted Walkers in the Black Plague deck before, and that was funny, because you had the Black Plague deck, like, having Enter the Horde, which was nuts. So, I wrote this rule and never done it, and then, but you can do it any way you want. And then you gather all the unique abominations you want and place 2 of each spawn card in each of the decks. 3 of each if it's a Fatty Burster, because there's 6 Fatty Burster cards. So there's 4 spawn cards. So pick whatever ones you want to use. So if you want to use 4 or 5 abominations, I put 2 of each card in each spawn deck. So 2 in Black Plague, if it's a Bomb of Money, 2 in Black Plague, 2 in Green Horde. Shuffle it up, and then if you're using the Fatty Bursters, there's 6 of those cards. So you put 3 in each deck. And if you're going to use both dragons, place 8 spawn decks of 1 dragon in one deck and the 8 in the other deck. So, or you can do, 1 dragon and then 4 and 4, however you want. And then not including the necromancers that come with the base games, you're going to have 6 necromancer spawn cards of your choice in the deck. You can have 6 of the same ones. You can have 6 different necromancers in each deck. You run with 12 necros if you have that many. Well, 14 if you count the 2 base ones. So I normally do 6 of the same ones. I just run the 4 necros because getting them extra activations makes it fun and things like that. But you could have 12 necros and then the 2 that come with it and do whatever you want. It's your choice. It's not set in stone on that. Now you gotta remember you want to keep these decks separate from each other. And then when it comes time to spawn zombies, Black Plague spawn decks will be used for red spawn zones, red objective markers, and red token counters. Green Horde spawn decks will be used for spawns from green and blue spawns, because you don't have a lot of green spawns, so sometimes you have to use the blue spawn zones, and green and blue objective markers, and the green token counters. So that's going to be your green Horde deck spawns. Now, for the equipment deck, you use both equipment decks in the base game separately. If you want to add in any equipment cards from the expansion Kickstarter, you do this randomly among both decks, like I talked about. And when you do a search, drawing a card from the Black Plague deck, if the room searched has a red token, and Green Horde if it's a green token. If you, I have tried playing Green Plague with only 1 equipment deck made up from cards from all the products, but it made the game very easy because I could just sit in one room and search until I got the setup. As I talked about, Dragonfire Blade, Chaos Longbow, all that great stuff. So that's basic. Set all that up for the missions, randomize everything, that simple thing. Play any mission with these rules. You got all the content, you got all the zombies coming out, you get as many abominations as you want, up the difficulty as much as you want, and boom, you're good to go. So, and if you want to, another way you can up the difficulty is how we play it. A lot of missions will have multiple objective tokens. I do it to where when you flip over that objective token, it spawns something. A spawn card is drawn. That's how we play. So when you pick up the objective marker, you get 5 XP, but you also have to draw a spawn card. So sometimes I compensate that with getting a vault weapon, depending on how many objective tokens. If there's not a lot of objective tokens, I'll draw a spawn card and get a vault card. But if there's so many spawn tokens or objective tokens, that many vault cards can break the game. So depending on that, that's just a rule I filter in every once in a while, depending on adjusting the difficulty, because a lot of times you pick up the objective token on your last action, and it can get crazy if you pull Enter the Horde or something. So it's just this little, divvying it up however you want to do it. Now, if you want to do, you roll 6 on your mission picking thing, and you're going to do a random dungeon. I'm going to briefly go over that. I'm not going to go in as much detail, but this is just going to give you an idea how you can randomize a mission. So you roll a d6 and you can choose, and whatever you roll, you either get a 3x2, a 3x3, a 4x2, a 4x3, 8 tiles in any shape you want, or 6 tiles in any shape you want. Just make sure that things are lined up, and just build it the best way that makes sense so everything's accessible, and things like that. So you can do it a little bit more crazy where the first random tile is in the upper left position and you make the first tile R, the next tile V, continue to place, clockwise, and just rotate the tiles to make paths clear and things like that. Okay. use your best judgment, things like that. Now spawn points. So you roll a d6 on spawn points. This is for random. You roll a 1, you get a red and a green, a 2 and 2 reds and 1 green. If you roll a 5, you get 3 reds and 2 green, which is nasty. That's a lot of spawn zones. A 6, you get 2 green and a blue, which would be 3 green horde and 2 red. So, yeah, you can have a lot of... Yeah, it's crazy. During quest play, you just swap out some red for some green and things like that. And then spawn point placement, you roll a d6, and for each tile as an outside edge, road, or field, you place it there. Things like that. Door placement, there's doors and things like that. If the room building has more than 10 rooms, place a door that will split the rooms as equally as possible. Unless you want to spawn 10 rooms. I mean, and you want to place, the doors closest to the spawn point, that kind of thing. You can set it up however you want to adjust the difficulty. So then you can randomize vault placement with however many entrances, any combination on a d6. And then you have vault contents are unknown, so you roll a d6 and then you get a random vault item and a green horde spawn. Black's plague spawns, you get a random vault item and both things spawn, or a random vault item, 2 random vault items, or a random vault item of your choice. Well, it should be a vault item of your choice, not a random vault item of choice. I'll fix that later. Starting and exit locations is needed. Like I said, you can choose if you want to get to an exit, and that comes into the number of objectives. You can roll for the number of objective markers and place those. I'm going to speed this up now. Placing the objective markers, and then you can roll a d12 for victory conditions. So, and you can roll it up to 5 times, re-rolling doubles. So you can have 5 victory conditions, or 1 or 2 or 3. If you're teaching someone to play the game, you don't want to do a mission, you pick an objective, roll 1. Some of these are defeat 3 different unique necromancers. All living survivors must be in exit zone with no zombies in it to win. Three different unique abominations. There's tons. Collect all the objectives. Open all vines. You have to collect 2 water, 2 salted meat, 2 apples. Collect 4 vault items from vaults, dragon kills, objectives. And you can set up however many you want. Like I roll it. If I find the blue objective, I'll roll another one. If I get collect, I'll roll another one. Until I like to have the defeat the unique necro and abominations because it makes the game long and crazy. So, or you can just pick one you want. It makes it different every time. Randomize it. You can add your own. Pick 20 different objectives and have more things to choose from. These are just 12 to get you started. So, special rules. This is just a special rule thing with rolling a d12, no trebuchet, no ballista, then ultra red mode. Killing it when the necro is killed, only its spawn point can be removed instead of another one. 11 is split the party with 2 starting zones. Number 10, this is going to be bad. An orc abomination starts in play at the spawn zone furthest away from the starting zone. That's never good. There's 9. They knew we were coming at the start of the game before any survivor takes a turn. Draw a spawn card for each spawn token on the board. Necromancers can open doors. There's tons of special rules. Wait, are we missing anyone? The game starts with only 3 survivors on the start zone after the first zombie phase. The rest of the survivors are placed in the start zone after the first thing. And then here's some sample decks. You can pause it and read these of Green Horde decks and Black Plague decks with all the different combinations of cards that I had in there. So, and then I was keeping track of all the quests, but it got cut off. So I'm still working on that. I'm still playtesting. But I'm going to be doing something similar with Invaders. Invaders doesn't have quite as many enemies or Xenos options as Green Plague did, so you might get away with combining the decks, and you don't open doors and things. So we'll see how it goes, but I want to definitely make a random map generator like I did in this. So, guys, this is 35 minutes long. I don't want to make it any longer than this. Thank you guys for watching this overview of my Green Plague rules. Leave a comment, send me a message if you want a copy of this before I actually publish it. It's still being tweaked, or I'm still doing some more playtesting because I realize I need to add a few things. But if you're interested, let me know. So, thank you guys so much. You have a great day.